Ladies and gentlemen, my friends, my fantasy players alike everywhere, welcome in to the Thursday edition of Fantasy Daily. My friends, I am very excited today. Might actually be a shorter show for you so we can get right into this Thursday night football, but really all I got is news for you and some more trade updates, because it seems everybody out there right now, the whole social media market when it comes to fantasy football, it's all about trading right now. So me and my former co-host Manny, we did the trade show yesterday. It was an hour-long show. For those of you who watched the whole thing, thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys want to go check out some of your players, there's a board of 30 players that me and Manny went through, and what we want to do with them, whether we want to trade them, hang on to them, or trade for them. So if you guys want to check out that show, we cover a lot of names on that. So I'm going to cover some more trading stuff today, just briefly talk about it, get into the news. Then we're going to cover Thursday night football, and then that's going to be the end of the show, because for Thursday, that's all I got. If you guys want to check out my top 10s, check over on my TikTok. I put out my top 10s on there as well. Follow me on Twitter, all that stuff. Make sure you're checking out the YouTube and the Spotify. Once again, thanks for tuning in, and let's get right into this news, because there is quite a bit today. Quite a bit. It's a big news list. Usually it's short 4 or 5 little blurbs that I can get into there, but there's a lot today. So first and foremost, let's go to the Colts. Now, the Colts had Carson Wentz at practice yesterday without a boot. And then today it looks like they're appearing to play without him. So they are preparing to start Huntley, and it seems like he's going to take most of the reps. I know that Eason was supposed to be like kind of the de facto number one, but it seems like Brent Hundley took most of the reps today in practice, so it seems like he might start, but they could be playing both of them, and that sounds like a disaster. So they're playing Tennessee. Go ahead and grab your Tennessee defense, because that's probably going to be a mess on over there, especially since I don't think Brent Hundley's played a snap in the NFL in like 2 years, so we'll see. I think he got a little stint for a game or two. But anyway, James O'Shaughnessy, the tight end for Jacksonville, we talked about him a little bit last week, where he kind of was like on people's radars, and I told you not to. Now he's on IR, so that's an official. We're out. We don't want any part in that. Russell Gage is week to week, so my off-season, golden boy that I love, Russell Gage, he is week to week right now. Keep an eye on that. Antonio Brown was placed on COVID IR yesterday, but he does have a good chance to play. He has a very good chance to play. He needs 2 negative tests before then, and then he's allowed to play. So we expect that Antonio Brown will play. We hope so, but if one of those tests come back negative, that's it. He's definitely out for Sunday, which means Mike Evans and Chris Godwin would get peppered with targets. You could take a look at Scotty Miller again if that were to happen, just for the 1-week rental, but I do expect Antonio Brown to play. Tua is out as well with fractured ribs. He's officially out. So I said that I thought they would play, throw him in a flak jacket. Maybe it's too early. They don't want to do it. They don't want to throw him at Vegas. So they said, hey, you get to sit out this week. So Tua's sitting out. Brissett is going to start. So if you can get the Raiders defense on waiver wires, I know they're a popular ad this morning. Go ahead and grab them if you're in need of a defense. And you're willing to drop which one you have. Trey Sermon out of San Francisco, they're saying he is on track to play after, I think he had a slight injury this week. I can't remember. I'm sorry. There's too much going on here. But Trey Sermon is on track to play. The only problem with Trey Sermon is that you just spent a lot on Elijah Mitchell. You don't know what's happening, so it seems like a mess. I'm still going to lean with Elijah Mitchell. I definitely think Trey Sermon should be on rosters. We said this, but at the same time, we didn't get much out of Elijah Mitchell last week. We're not going to see much with Trey Sermon, I don't think, this week. So it really depends. It's tough for me to say that I want to start either one of them. If I have to start one, I think I'd start Elijah Mitchell. Trey Sermon's a wait and see for me. So, if I miss that first week where he comes out and he has a good week, I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. At least he's on my team. I do think he should be rostered, but I'm not willing to start him just yet. Jimmy G says, don't worry about Brandon Ayuk. It's not up to Jimmy G. Super not up to Jimmy G. So that means nothing to me. I know there's a lot of people out there, a lot of tweets that I saw this morning where people were saying that, that's good news for Brandon Ayuk. That means nothing to me when a quarterback says that he likes his friend. That means nothing to me. So I'm still very worried about Brandon Ayuk, and I really don't want him on my fantasy team right now. And in fact, if I can go switch him out for somebody else, I get it, but I'm not willing to wait and find out. If you want to wait another week, that's fine. But I feel like there's good talent on that team, and I don't think Jimmy G's long for that team anyway, so I don't know. Brandon Ayuk is one of those players where I don't see the appeal there. I get it, I get it from last year, but I don't see the appeal to hanging on to him in hopes, you know what I mean? So we'll see. Hopefully I'm wrong, because I liked Brandon Ayuk last year, but with everything that's happened in San Francisco, the backfield's a mess, it's tough for me to want anything in there. And especially as somebody who hasn't showed up yet. I'm willing to be wrong and then pay the price for him later if I really want him, but I feel like there's other people out there that you could get, focus your energy on them, and, stay vigilant when you're playing. When somebody like Brandon Ayuk is holding up the whole team or holding up your bench, you got to be like water. Be like water. Jimmy G, I just said that. Ron Rivera says Antonio Gibson is fine. I believe him, so fire up your Antonio Gibson. Tyra Williams officially has been placed on IR. So we were talking about this last week where Quentin Cephas is something that you can go and take a look at on the waiver wire. During the waiver ad show, I said that his name could be in there. Now it's even more so with Tyra Williams officially moving to IR like we expected. That gives at least 3 weeks for good production for Cephas, and I do think that he's going to be the touchdown guy. And as much as I'm not high on Jared Goff, they're still going to throw touchdowns. He's still going to play better than we expect. So I know the Detroit, stigma offseason for me really was low down. I thought they were going to have the first pick overall next to Houston. They're going to fight for it, but Detroit looks better than we thought. So taking into consideration that Jared Goff is going to throw touchdowns, it's worth putting Cephas on your team to see what happens. And, kind of roll with the punches with these guys. These things happen. If you're grabbing a Cephas, you know what you're expecting. You know what I mean? So don't get too down if he comes out and he has 4 points. You know what you grabbed. So willing to take a shot on Cephas that he's going to be the touchdown guy over there. Amari Cooper practicing in limited, and that's good. He's still, for me, expected to see a limited snap count, but for Amari Cooper, a limited snap count, that's better than, 90% of the people out there who do play football. So Amari Cooper, to me, this year looks deadly. I think his route running is still insane, so I'm willing to roll Amari Cooper out there. Just kind of be wary of he might hurt your team, so you got to, or he might make you sad, so you got to expect that, especially with him being on the Monday night game. You might want to shoot for boom or bust beforehand if you have to rely on Amari Cooper on Monday. So practice and limited, I still see a limited opportunity for him. Expect that in the game, and I would kind of, I wouldn't be surprised if Amari Cooper puts up 8 to 10 points on your team. I also wouldn't be surprised if he scores a touchdown on 2 to 3 plays and puts up 20, 25. So the range of outcomes is everywhere. Expect that. Beckham says that Odell Beckham says we will see in regards to him playing this weekend. That's a no. That's a no. If the player says we'll see, that's a no. And he said it like a dismissive, like we'll see. I don't know. No, I don't want Odell Beckham. And we said it during the offseason. I don't want any part in this. But I've been off of Odell Beckham for a while. I'm still off of Odell Beckham, and I don't care to see where it happens or where it goes. That's basically my biggest opinion of Odell Beckham is that, during the offseason we said, don't draft Odell Beckham. He's going to be one of those guys where you're waiting around to see when he, shows up forever. So to me, personally, I'm off of Odell Beckham forever. I have been since last offseason, and I think it's time that we all are off of Odell Beckham. He belongs on the waiver wire with other people, and the days that it comes up where he finally starts playing, I'm picking him up. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't hear what I'm not saying and drop Odell Beckham for somebody else. Get rid of him in whatever fashion that you can. Get something for him. He's probably going to be in your IR spot, so it's a free roster spot. But, if he's on that cusp of players that you need to move in order to make something happen on your team, I'm willing to move Odell Beckham for a package piece. I'm not looking at Odell Beckham like Odell Beckham, and I don't think anybody still should be. So, to me, I'm kind of rambling about news that shouldn't be rambled about, but if anybody out there is a fan of Odell Beckham and they want to see him in fantasy, he's not a fantasy player. As much as we love Odell Beckham Jr., he's definitely not a fantasy player, so it's time to move on from Odell Beckham. So, that's it for the news. Yep, took about 10 minutes to get through, which is my longest news segment in probably since the beginning of the season. Let's talk a little bit about trades, because I saw some trades this morning on TikTok and Twitter and Instagram and stuff where people are talking about and sending screenshots in of trades they've made. One name that I saw on TikTok this morning that kind of bugged me out is somebody was saying you need to sell high on Lamar Jackson. Please don't sell high on Lamar Jackson. Please don't sell Lamar Jackson. Please don't trade him. Please don't do that. Depending on what you get, if somebody hits your inbox with something ridiculous like Josh Allen and Devontae Adams, okay, yeah, then I'm going to get rid of Lamar Jackson. But me personally, I am not shopping Lamar Jackson ever, because he has this potential to do this every single week. And like we say, there's a select handful of players who have the potential to go off for 40 points every single week. So if you have one of those players, you don't move on from them. So I saw a lot of sell high on Lamar. I really advised against selling high on Lamar. I really advised against trading Lamar, unless it's for something you really, really want, or if you're really confident in that, or if it's one of the trades like I just said that it blows your socks off and you have no choice but to take it. So don't trade Lamar. Only do if it's, absolute must. Mike Evans, I saw a lot of people saying trade Mike Evans. I get it. I wouldn't. Like I said, he's still in that bracket where he, carries for 40-point potential like we saw last week. I know a lot of people after week 1 are like, oh, now it's going to be the Antonio Brown show. We said here, it's going to be the flip-flop between those three all year. So you're going to get your sad games with Mike Evans, but you also have a piece on your team unlike any other team where he can score 3 touchdowns. You know what I mean? 2 touchdowns, whatever it may be, and make it look easy. So Evans, again, if somebody hits your inbox with something crazy that you have to do, I get it. But me personally, I don't want to trade Evans. I want him on my team. I'm fortunate enough that I have a team where I can flex him because my wide receivers are really good, and I got really lucky with Mike Williams. So if you have a Mike Evans, Mike Williams, I can see where you're like, okay, maybe I can trade Mike Evans to cash in for something, bulk up these positions. I get that. But if I'm the Mike Evans manager, I'm trying to hold to have that insurance piece, to have that flex piece, because there's no better flex piece than Mike Evans. You know what I mean? And it's sad to call him a flex piece, but it's just because of Tom Brady. He can do whatever he wants whenever he wants. So remember that talent in a player is not value on a fantasy team. And while we're here, I'm probably going to say it 2 or 3 more times. Also, your fantasy roster is not a ranking system, okay? That flex spot is for scheduling. It's Thursday night. Nobody in that spot should be there. I have CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb is in my flex spot because he plays on Monday. It's not a ranking system. Don't put them in your wide receiver spot because they're the better wide receiver. Put them in your flex. That way you have that flexibility. God forbid something happens. I get it. Oh, I'm never going to bench CeeDee, so I might as well put him here so I can put this guy here. I get it. If you need the flex spot so you can play a third running back, that's a different story. But make sure that if you can get your Thursday night player out, and you can, get your Thursday night player out of the flex, always. So I'm going to say that 3 more times today, but I just wanted to say it right now. Going over back to the trades, I said it on my TikTok and I said it on Instagram. The show yesterday that I want to go get Jonathan Taylor. He's my number 1 trade for a target, but I also want to trade for Mike Williams and Marquise Brown. So those 2 players I think are emerging as top 5 because of targets. Now, don't get me wrong; they don't have the great floor that most I'm going like floor but holding my hand above my head as a ceiling, but anyway, they don't have the floor that most consistent wide receivers do, like the Devontae Adams, the Tyreek Hill. These 2 people can put up 6 points 1 week and make you sad, but they have that ceiling where they can put up top 5 weeks on any given week because of the amount of targets they're giving. So if they're given 10 targets a game, I want that. So Mike Williams, Marquise Brown, they're both on good offenses. Lamar Jackson clearly wants to throw to Marquise Brown. He clearly wants to get him more involved. We're watching Mark Andrews kind of disappear because of this. So I want that Marquise Brown. If Marquise Brown's going to turn into the red zone guy that Mark Andrews was, I want that. I want that now, and I want that for the rest of the season. Mike Williams, he's turned into a 10-point target at a necessity. So we know Mike Williams over time has dropped some passes. He's ran some routes bad, makes us sad. So if he does that 3 times a game and you're realistically only getting 7 targets, it's still 7 Mike Williams targets. So I get it. I get the, he could be better, but the targets you can't ignore. So got to look at that. Justin Herbert's playing out of his mind. Keenan Allen is playing out of his mind like always. His routes are dirty. His routes are so insane. But playing across from him, it's going to be some games where he has to go to a second read. Herbert's playing well. He's got a good connection with Mike Williams. So Jonathan Taylor, if you want to hear my spiel on him, check out yesterday's show or my rant on TikTok. Mike Williams or Marquise Brown, also check out the trade show, and I just gave you my arguments for them. And then before we talk about the Thursday night football game, there's one thing that I want to talk about before we get off of trades completely, and that is complacency. Let me take a sip of my Java. Thank you. Excuse me. Now, consistency in fantasy football is what I strive for. A lot of people strive for boom or bust. A lot of people strive for their favorite players. Whatever way that you structure fantasy football to have fun for you, that's great. I'm championship chasing. This one's having fun. This one wants to trade. That one's playing video games and he's not even paying attention. You just needed a 10th person for your league. I get it. But depending on where you fit into that equation in trading, remember that your value of a player and the player that you're and the manager that you're talking to has to match in order for that trade to work. So a big thing in trading is people try to do something too early. They try to do something right away. They get frustrated because somebody's not, seeing their value. So I want to ease back first on that and say that it's week 3. Relax. Your team is probably way better than you think. Probably way better than you think. Especially for week 3, we still don't have a broad picture of what everybody's going to do. We don't have a broad picture of values. We don't have a broad picture of sample sizes yet to say, and me right now, I'm saying Mike Williams and Marquise Brown. I'm saying this off of 2 weeks of samples. This could be the best 2 weeks they play, and then everything's wrong. So everything that's happened so far can happen in reverse. Your players that you think are terrible could turn out to be the best players at the end of the year. It's happened a million times over in fantasy football. So pump the brakes. Make sure that you're not getting rid of anything too harsh on your team just yet. Make sure that you're watching out for things that are coming and stay vigilant. The number one enemy in fantasy football is complacency. Not paying attention. Getting to week 5 and going, oh, I'm 1-4. I'm done for the season. You're absolutely not done for the season. I've started off many seasons 1-4, played in the championship. Maybe I didn't win the championship, but I was there. So biggest enemy is complacency. Stay vigilant, stay moving, and stay focused on the waiver wires. Who's dropping what? Who needs what? Look at the matchups ahead of time. See who you're playing next week. See who defenses are playing next week. Kickers are playing next week. Things that you can switch out to have just that edge over your opponent. Stay moving, because basically what happens is when you're at the top, now me personally in 2 leagues, I have very, very good rosters, okay? I haven't touched the waivers in 2 weeks. That's a good thing and also a bad thing. I'm not updating my team as I go because I'm so confident in my roster. So that, mixed with the fact that I got a million things to do like everybody else does, now the person in 6th place, 7th place, 8th place, 10th place, blah, 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 they have a better chance of scooping up those players, making moves, and becoming a contender in the playoffs while I was complacent in where my team was. So complacency is your biggest enemy in fantasy football. So that, coupled with trades, relax, take your foot off the brake. Remember that it's week 3 and your team is probably better than you think it is right now. So, a lot of people, that happens to. A lot of players you look at and you're like, oh, I don't like this. This isn't going to be good. Brandon Cooks. I was so far off of Brandon Cooks for a long time in the offseason, and now he's playing very well. He's clearly the number one.